Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. I hope you all have had a beautiful, productive week. We have a special guest. We're going to be talking about the effects of not having a father from a guy's perspective.
My name is Sotie. I'm just saying my own perspective, but I believe there are some guys who have totally not had literally a biological father present, like literally they grew up maybe with the moms because their mom were single moms who grew them, or maybe families who were divided maybe by separation or divorce. Many Nigerian children or many African children, they have certain things in common, like having parents living in two different countries and then growing up alone or being sent somewhere. But anyway, I believe some of you would resonate, and if you don't, say it in the comment section and would be happy. So anyway, I have my father and I have my mother. The person I grew up to know more and the person I linked up the most with is my mom. Funny enough, everyone except in exceptional cases, we all grew up more with our moms than our fathers, you know, especially if you have a working father or if you have a father who has to do this stuff. And mothers literally, right from day one, the day they give birth and growing the child, you know, they spend more time with them. Back to the topic of this, my father was present in my life when I couldn't remember much, because I can slightly remember maybe when I was 3. My father wasn't present from 91 till 97. I mean, he was only present through letters he used to send to my mom and some phone calls. Now, obviously, back then in the 90s, there weren't mobile phones, there wasn't WhatsApp or any kind of social media platform. So he was not physically there. So obviously, my childhood was having this kind of void, this emptiness and this lack of a father figure, especially when I used to see other fathers present or other fathers who were abroad or who used to travel for work and come back to their family, but I was just me, my elder brother and my mom. There was that void and that absence that really impacted my childhood. Obviously, those years, they were being experienced, or I was living with the expectation of one day we will all be reunited together and I would be having that father present that was absent before. It's kind of a joyful expectation. I was always looking forward to that, and I was even praying for that. In fact, I do remember there's one particular period that my mom and I, my older brother, were really praying because financially we're going through certain struggles, and the father figure economically also helps a lot in the family. So we prayed, and we were even like fasting back then. One of the things I hated when I was small was fasting. I hated it, and even till now, it's not that I like it, but I know it's necessary. But I can remember maybe I was 7 or 8 years old. So like, anyway, there's hunger fasting and there's fasting because of your prayer. Yeah. So it was the fasting for prayer. Yeah. So long story short, we prayed and God miraculously worked. Like literally, God provided the money. My father was able to come over and visit us in Nigeria, and then make up all the documents to go back. But the idea and the expectation and the dreams I used to have when I was a child of having this father figure and having the family together, it's all shattered when, even though we united as one family back in Europe, then certain other family issues, disagreements and unpleasant situations.
What age did you reunite, all of you?
I was 12. I was 12 when we united, so literally
like 9 years later.
9 years apart. Obviously, every family has struggles, difficulties, disagreement, but it was kind of a clash between the father I imagined and the real person and all the issues that came up. So in the teenage years now, obviously he was now physically present and he was trying his best, obviously, because he's the breadwinner of the family. My mother was working also. But sadly to say, obviously, he wasn't fully present because his mind and his idea of a father was obviously the idea of a father many generations before him or during his time was having. So the one who provides food, the roof, and money for clothes, for school and all that, and you've done your job, going to work, coming back, and correction when it's needed. But apart from that, we didn't really have the chance to like develop that emotional bonding, or if it was emotional, it was dark, negative emotions that were coming out of moments of disagreement, moments of clash, because obviously during my teenage years, my character was still building, and obviously there are things that an adult sees in a teenager that you don't like, so you bring in correction, or maybe you make some suggestions, or you impose out of what you have inherited from generations back, but they're not working. So we had struggles and we had clashes up to the point that there was silence, that I was just like, okay, I'll just respond, with basic, how are you? Fine. How was school? Fine. Have you eaten? Yes. Are you hungry? Yes or no? Because I was having this clash of the idea I was having of him, of the family, and the reality I was seeing. And I was struggling also because he couldn't come to my world and I couldn't come to his because of the way he obviously grew up and the way I was growing up. Long story short, we lived for good 18 years, but the relationship isn't that which I could say he was a present figure when I can literally say I needed, or he could have made a better impact. This is not to say he didn't do his part, because he was working to provide for the family. He was trying to be there, and he was very, very protective. Like, even I remember a lady friend of mine, this was a girl who was saying like, he's treating you as if you are a girl, you're a daughter. Like, I'm sorry to say this because you're a guy, but I would expect this more of me, who am a girl, from my father rather than you, because obviously we all know that girls are treated differently from the boys. Like, usually boys, you could almost do whatever you want. Meanwhile, the girls, oh, be careful of who you move with, be careful where you go, and all this. But he was very, very protective, which was a good thing. But on the other side, like, there are things that I couldn't do or I missed out. Like, there were certain school excursions that I didn't even tell him about because I knew he would say no, because he was afraid of accidents or whatever, because of maybe other stories on the TV about other school excursions, or maybe this guy jumped from the balcony, or these people were doing pranks and someone, which is cool. But on the other side, there were so many things that I just shut myself out. So he wasn't present, and he was only doing the basic also. And why are you always in your room, or why is your room not tidy? And funny enough, one thing I hated was that maybe I tidied the room Monday to Wednesday, but the only time he would come in maybe was Friday when it was all scattered again, and he would say, oh, so many of those stuff. But he wasn't present emotionally as probably was needed back then. And so this really impacted my idea even of him, because he was always work, which is good, but I had to like face school by myself, and my mom couldn't help because she was also working, and so many stuff that I would have liked to voice out, but I couldn't no longer because he wasn't there. So I just said, I'll deal with this by myself. And this also made me have a lot of insecurities, because situations where you could have called in the father, I couldn't call him in, and I didn't even want to call him because he's gonna say, oh, I'm working. I don't want to take a day off, half day off, just for PTA, parent-teachers meeting, or all that. Or when he used to come was just because my mom couldn't come, or if I was having low grades back in school. But the low grades were because of situations that were happening at home that I couldn't cope with, and they were affecting my studies. He was there physically, but he wasn't there emotionally. And when he was trying to be there emotionally, he was trying to impose his own way. And I don't have a way because I'm a child, and I cannot impose, but it's dealt a lot with me not having that space to open up, that space to like say, okay, I'm hurting, I need your help. I wasn't expecting toys or gifts, but I can't talk of certain things to my mom. What I wanted was maybe a present, someone like I had to tell my friends.
That's the sad thing.
A compliment or an encouragement could have helped more.
Do you think that his upbringing being in Nigeria and predominantly your upbringing being in Europe made like a difference in the way that he looked at you, like the way that he disciplined you, or the way he approached the relationship?
Any child who goes to school wants to make their parents proud.
To like, share, comment and subscribe. Like, share, comment and subscribe. I said watch, like, share, comment and subscribe.